Ready to rock and roll. Uh,
Go.
Welcome back, you guys. Episode 2, Church, the podcast. Warren, how are you doing, buddy?
Doing great, man. Doing great. Welcome back to everybody who's out there turning in.
They could turn in.
um, yeah,
They're allowed.
excited, man. Excited. We had a great topic today. Can't wait to dig into it. I really think that number one, I think we're gonna be blessed, but I think you guys who are watching, tuning in, are gonna be even more blessed than us today. So
Yeah.
ready to rock,
So
man.
the first of the 5 F's.
Yeah,
We teased it a little bit.
we
You guys
did.
might notice. You might notice this episode. The audio, the video is going to be a little cleaner.
A
I'm
little bit.
kind of thankful. I'm thankful for the episode 1 glitches that now we've worked out the kinks.
Yeah.
I now sound a little more like Barry White than I did before, or at least I like to think I do. I want to have that smooth radio voice for you guys. But episode 2, the first F, you ready? Friendship.
Go.
Come on,
Friendship.
friendship. Woo!
Let's
I like that
go.
we said it at the same time.
Come
We're
on.
already in sync, man. I dig it.
Can't even plan that any better.
Come on. So friendship is so important. Um, I think it defines how most people feel about themselves.
Yeah.
Because I think you can think anything about yourself, but unless you have somebody there in your life that you trust, that you can rely on to help you see how you really impact people or how you're really
Yeah.
affecting the world around you, um, you can't really be sure. And so friendships are super important. They're also a challenge. I
Mhm.
think any relationship, which relationships are amazing, but any relationship will have some kind of conflict in it. And so I think having
Yeah.
healthy conflict is good. So we'll probably hit on that today. And just kind of our histories with friendships, and it's such a broad topic. I'm actually excited.
Yeah.
For those that don't know, Warren and I don't do a ton of note taking, prep, things like that, because we want this to
Yeah.
feel conversational. We certainly think through what we're going to say, but we want it to come from the heart. And so,
Absolutely.
Warren, I'm gonna kick it to you, man. What does friendship mean to you, or what's the kind of what do you think of when you hear the word friendship?
Man, friendship is it can be such a broad topic. I love the fact that we're taking time to give God space. When you're working off of a script, you kind of got a lot of, follow the script, hit the wickets. But when you leave space for God, amazing things happen. Friendship, and I love what the Bible says that a friend can stick closer than a brother.
Mm,
And when I think about friendship, especially in my life, I think of an easy relationship, because you get to choose your friends. Like this is your choice. So if you're listening to this and you have friends who don't value you or abuse you or treat you badly, guess what? You chose that. It's
oh,
on you. Um,
that's real.
Friends is not a mandatory thing.
Yeah.
They are good. They bring so much to our life. But I think of an easy relationship. God allows people to come into our life for different reasons. But I'm telling you, if you have a handful of people, you know, who you can call on and they're going to answer, and if you need something, you can get it. Man, you're blessed. And my dad used to say this that um, in your life you're going to have maybe 1 to 3 people who will be with you your entire life. When you meet those people, value them, appreciate them, and be there for them. And I just feel that in my life, that's so true. I've had people who I thought would stay forever, they didn't. Um, when things happened, they kind of fell apart. But there's some people in my life today that I haven't talked to them in 3, 4 years, but I can pick up the phone and it'll be like, hey, it'll be just like yesterday. And then there's some friendships that have just kind of hurt me along the way. So I think it's a kind of a mixture of things that we go through. But I'm so grateful for God given, just amazing friends. I thank God for the challenging relationships that I've had because I've learned, and for a season, people come in and they help you through things, and God uses them to give you favor and do different things. So I just believe that friendship is something that we have to actively be involved in. But I also think that it can be such an easy relationship that just feeds into your life. And same thing, it's easy for you when you have a true friendship that it's not a burden when that friend needs something. You are more than excited, more than happy to say, "Hey, man, I'm happy to come alongside you and help you with this." So that's how I view it, and that's how I've kind of experienced it in my life.
That's beautiful. I feel the same. I mean, to
Yeah,
me, real friendship is going to be something where, and I think you and I talked about this recently, where you're gonna always feel like you could never repay them.
yeah,
The real friends in your life, the
sure.
things they do for you, the things they bring into your life, even just the ways you can have relationship and be vulnerable and
Mhm.
bring what you really feel instead of having to hide behind some kind of like veneer of um, being fake and not
Yeah,
really revealing who you are. That is so freeing. Like a
it
great
is.
friendship is so special. Um, and I agree with the Bible. To me, I've had friends along the way where whatever season that they're in my life for, they've felt closer than family. Um,
Mhm.
Family you're born into, friends you do get to pick, uh, and I think choosing wisely and picking the friends that are gonna edify you, build you up, I think it's so important. I think it can be a challenge. I think sometimes, depending on the situations you're in, like those that are in you attend public school, so you're in,
Yeah,
a setting where that's kind of curated for you. I think finding those people who have similar beliefs, similar values, I think um, it's just so powerful. Like having a friend
yeah.
you can count on when something goes down, when that girl breaks up with you, when that guy says something mean about you, when um, you're just hurting and you need somebody to be able to talk to. Um, there's times where it just feels like parents don't understand. And I'm a parent, and I know that there's times
I feel
where my
you.
kids look at me like, I don't know, dad, but they have a friend. I'm thankful that my kids do have those friendships in their life where
Yeah,
they feel like they can text somebody, and I'm okay with it. Like, I feel like that's a healthy, um, protection for parents sometimes, and I hope
yeah,
that their friends are Christian. I hope that they're giving them good advice, but no matter where you're coming from, I think there's a healthy relationship with friends that can happen where it is beneficial because they're not so directly impacted, I think, sometimes
come
by
on.
those family relationships or the closeness. Sometimes closeness can breed contempt, and that's true even in
Mm,
friendships. But I think in family settings, we just know how to push each other's buttons
come
sometimes.
on.
And
Yeah,
so those friends that you can look at and say, come alongside me and be my family for now."
that's good.
Um, so I think that's important. I think it's really good.
So good. So good. I'm gonna I love what you just said. I'm gonna take a little off ramp and come right back on the freeway.
Let's do it.
Um for a second, I'm gonna talk to if you're youth, like if you're involved in the youth group and you have a youth pastor, or if you are a youth pastor, um we're talking about friendships here, and I'm telling you, I didn't understand the importance of a youth pastor until my sons who are now grown men, um, how they experienced their youth pastor. Um, in the military, you travel around a lot, and they really got connected in Washington State, and their youth pastor really took an unorthodox approach to them. He would show up at the school and he would eat lunch with his students, and it was just something you don't see a normal youth pastor do. And he would text them and be on their social, and he was not only a leader, but he was also at their level. And surprisingly, to this day, like my son's 25, he still has a great relationship with his youth pastor. I mean, that's a friendship that's spanned, several years for him, like, up into adulthood. Like, he's a father with 2 kids now, and this guy is still, in his life, involved. And so to my youth pastors, make yourself accessible, be French, be not only be a leader to those who you're leading, but also be friendly to those. And to the youth, lean into the leadership that is available to you. These people care about your life, and it's not that they just want to lead you through a season. They'll probably walk through you with a couple seasons. And so I felt like I had to kind of drop that in there. That was just seems appropriate because I know me and Jason both have a great heart for youth. And people who um, are between middle school all the way through their college years. We just feel that you're the bedrock of the body of Christ, and we think that you get lost in so many capacities. Jason can speak more to how he befriends people and how he unorthodoxly like goes about
Hmm.
um, impacting people's lives. As much as a high five will go, you think, oh, that doesn't mean anything. Well, to a kid who goes to a school who gets bullied or um, doesn't have many friends because of his Christian faith,
Yeah.
a youth pastor, a youth leader who sees you, like really sees you, can really change your life and the trajectory of your life. So I just had to put that in there. And so that I'm back on the freeway. We're talking about friendship.
Yeah.
Boom, Jason. You know what I'm saying?
Come on. So like we promised in episode 1, I'm gonna give my first basketball analogy.
Come on,
Um,
let's go.
so one of the first things that I was taught growing up playing point guard was on the basketball court, you're a leader, but you're kind of a de facto coach. Like, and if you and the coach are not in sync, and my dad was my coach for a lot of my younger AAU years, things like that, where we could choose what team we were on, he would end up being
Yeah.
the coach. Well, one thing that we learned as time went on, and then there was an actual study done by the NBA where um, high fives matter, right? Connection with
Mm,
people on your team matters, and it matters no matter the circumstances. So a study was done, and I believe this was around 2010, 2011, where they measured how many high fives teams were giving to each other throughout a game. And so then they
wow.
correlated the amount of high fives, the amount of physical contact, um,
Mhm.
and I'm going to be honest with you guys. I don't remember if they counted butt slaps or not, but I feel like those, stuff like that's important. Like
Low
men in,
five.
come on, man, low five, men in sports, all that stuff. It is about connecting. Like the best teams are connected and cohesive. So they measured it, and it turns out at that time, the Phoenix Suns had the best record over the 2 seasons that they measured, and the amount of high fives they were giving was inordinately high. And
Wow.
it's because Steve Nash, who was the
Mhm.
MVP for I think those 2 seasons or at least one of those seasons, um, he believed in that. So it didn't matter if they were winning or losing. It didn't matter if they were down or up in the game.
Mhm.
It didn't matter if the player that he was high-fiving had just done something that would have been detrimental to the team. And I think that's the key is no matter what, there's a timeout called, you're taking a break, you have an opportunity to reach out and touch somebody. Steve Nash, not just one hand, multiple times, both hands up,
Come on.
right? And he's available for a high five. And he's just available. And you know what? If the guys don't do it, you could see the team be like, come on. Like, I know you don't
Yeah.
want to. I know you're not feeling it. But along those same lines, the teams that were
Yeah.
not succeeding in the league that year, they noticed heads down and walking back to the
Mm.
bench. So the team just lost. They're heading back to the locker room. No one's
Yeah.
high fiving each other on the way back to the locker room. The Phoenix Suns, they're still high fiving because what's happening is they're cohesive. They're creating cohesion that even in a difficult moment, and this is when we talk about friendships, like this is how I think healthy friendships should go. And this is how I feel about friendships is no matter what's going on, we would still high five.
Come on.
Like we're still on the same team. We're still heading toward larger goals together, no matter what the small hiccups are. And when
So
you
good.
see dysfunctional friendships, when you see dysfunctional organizations, you can see it in their body language. And so,
Mhm.
especially with youth, like the kind of off ramp you took, I'll hit that for just a second. With youth, they're just looking for connection. But at that age, I feel like, and you know what? Maybe I don't want to do that. Across all ages, people seem to
Yeah.
have a fear that when they lift their hand for a high five, when they go for the handshake, it's not going to be reciprocated.
Mm.
And so then people are afraid that they're going to be vulnerable. You're being physically vulnerable, putting it out there, hoping that you're quote unquote cool enough, hoping that you're going to
Come
be
on.
accepted, right? It's looking for acceptance
Yeah.
and some type of confirmation that you are valuable. And
Mm.
so for me in my approach, um, I want to make sure that I take that first step. And I think the confidence comes from who God says I am. Like,
Yeah.
why do you have such good energy with people, maybe even if they look at you funny? Why are you willing to maybe
Yeah.
what the world would see is make a fool of yourself or put your hand out for a high five handshake? And maybe it goes weird. Maybe you open your hand and somebody does the fist inside and you're kind of like, what's
Mm.
happening? I love to make a joke about that whenever that happens, like as if it's some secret handshake. So you just like
Yeah.
keep going, get weird with it
Yep.
and stuff. And to me, that's the important part of it is that you made the attempt. And the next
Mhm.
time that student, that adult, that grandparent, whoever it is, they're going to remember that you're the guy, you're the girl that came up and put your arm out for a kind of a hug or like a high five or you waved at each
Yeah.
other, right? And next time, I think you build a culture where people look forward to that. So
Yeah.
as church rolls along, as I do things in ministry, as I do things with people, period, full stop, just interacting with people, I want to be known as a guy that put himself out there first.
Yeah.
So I tried to build inroads to friendships, and I'm not perfect. I still have, I'm quick to be upset if somebody
Mhm.
burns me in some way. All these things that are real
Yeah.
challenges in friendships, I also bring those to the table because um, I'm a feeler. Myers Briggs. I'm an
Mhm.
ENFJ. Uh, the extrovert part is like 50-50, but the feeler part's high. So for
Mm.
me, if I feel burned by you, it takes me a long time to forgive, but I want to be
Mhm.
quicker to forgive. I want to remember how God forgave me. And
Yep.
so I need to give it freely. In the same way, why I want to be willing to make a fool of myself. Jesus came into the world and was called a fool and then
Come
changed the
on.
world. I'd like to be called a fool that changes the world.
That's good.
So
That's good. I love that basketball analogy
you're welcome.
because it sports just has a way of uniting us,
Yeah,
a certain demographic people. It has a way of reaching places that sometimes you can't just reach with a normal story or something that most people can't relate to. And there's not everybody knows basketball.
that's a
But even the,
shame.
the analogies themselves, you can kind of like, what's a point guard? You're like,
Yeah,
well, it's the person with the ball who kind of leads the team on the floor, but it's something that just it unites us. It's a different way of processing and explaining things. You spoke and said that you don't mind being a fool. You don't mind being an initiator, right?
yeah.
Has that in your life in connection to friendship, has that ever got you into a place where you felt hurt or you felt betrayed? Is there, or has
Mm.
that just been a successful thing for you throughout your lifetime?
No, it's not. I don't think anything's 100% because, especially at first, what you're
Mhm.
going to receive is a lot of strange looks because I think people have hesitation because of
Yeah.
being burned in the past. So if you look at young kids, they'll run in excited and hug each other. Like they're not
Mhm.
afraid of being um, burned by um, either whether disrespect or disregard. They're not nervous about
Yeah.
what the outcome will be because they don't maybe it's a lack of experience or maybe it's just blissful ignorance and joy and they just don't have the burdens that for some reason we keep with us. And maybe I'm
Mhm.
saying I'd like to have more childlike joy. And so
Yeah.
that's what I try to bring to people is um I think people can perceive or not perceive. I think they would um, define how I act sometimes as over the top. Like I'm over the
Mm.
top excited to see you. I
Yeah.
am truly joyful to see you. And then I think what the perception is often upon first approach is that I'm faking it. Because I think
Mm.
there are a lot of people that do try to, um, either fake it till they make it, which is not always bad when you're interacting with people, like, you wanna have joy, but I think what happens is, um, people don't like the falseness of that, like a fake
Okay.
smile, so
Yeah.
what I try to bring is something real where golden rule, how would I wanna be treated? Like, when someone
Yeah.
approaches me, I don't necessarily wanna bear their burdens right away. Like, I want to hear from about your life, and I
Yeah.
wanna hear from you about your experiences and things, but, like, bring some joy in, and
Yeah.
especially if somebody doesn't look like they're joyful, I would rather
Yeah.
them have that. Like,
Yeah.
you have an opportunity to pour into people's lives, and so like what you said before, does it always go well? No, students look at me like I'm crazy, and I gotta get, like, lean in closer so they'll give me a high five, like, "Come on,
Yeah.
come on," and then sometimes they just don't. They do not high
Yeah.
five because 'cause they're like, "I don't trust this interaction," but what I'm gonna do is keep coming back every time
Yeah.
and then eventually they'll trust the interaction so much that they'll be willing to talk to me about the thing that they're struggling with.
Love it.
Um, I met a young lady early on in serving with youth, and uh, we had a conversation, and she was working at the cafe coffee area, so I got a coffee, and I said, you know, how are you? And she said, I'm okay, you know, and I said, well, what's going on? Do you need somebody to talk to? And she said, well, listen, I know people, you're not gonna care. Like next week, you won't, you know, you're not gonna follow up. She was just blunt with me, which I kind of
Wow.
respected. She said, like, hey, look, I get it. You
Yeah.
don't have to ask, like, if you don't really care. And I said, I want you to know I care, and I will check in with you every week. And now, this young
Wow.
lady, it's been a year or two that I've been doing these kind of Wednesday nights serving with youth things.
Mhm.
And now this young lady comes up and gives me a side hug
That's
every time
great.
I see her. And she looks at not just me, but here's the cool part. She looks at our family as
Mm.
people she can trust now. And I think,
Wow.
and I'm not, look, I am not saying any of this to get credit. What I'm saying is, um, sometimes you on approach being genuine with people and following up and caring, it opens people up to the idea that other people could also care.
Come on.
So the day I met her, I would have assumed that she thought no one cares. And now
Mm.
she's got a group of what, 6, 7, 8 people from our family
Let's
that
go.
she'll come up and spend time with. And so that's the reason you risk it, is so that you can bring joy into people's lives.
Come on.
And
Go.
everyone, so a lot of adults have this experience. You show up at a wedding and it's a table full of 10 people, and maybe you're at the friend table, you know, the one where it's like these like
Who are
kind of
you?
people and everybody looks at each other like, are you the weirdo? Am I the weirdo? Because
Yep.
if you can't spot the weirdo, you're the weirdo. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
that kind of, everybody's looking around going like, well, who's going to go first? I'm the
Yep.
guy. I have
Yep.
decided in my life, I'm gonna lean over while everybody's, hey man, what's your name? What do you
What's
do for a
going on?
job? And
Yeah.
not that your job defines you. I just pick something like, I saw
Yeah.
you wearing blue blazer, man. You look good in blue. What's going on? How are you? And
Yeah.
I think for some people that's off putting. For some people it feels fake. And so what you have to
Mhm.
do is stay consistent. So
Yep.
I know you know a lot about this. How is staying consistent in friendships impacted your life?
Ooh. Consistency is like the key. It's almost like the glue that keeps a friendship going. Um, because inconsistency will be the agent that tears a friendship apart.
Mm,
If if you enter a friendship one way and you start adjusting or changing, or if they don't know what they're gonna get. Like I know if me and you are in person or if we're apart on Zoom, I know what I'm gonna get from Jason. And like the consistency of I know that I'm gonna get a thought provoking conversation.
mhm.
We're gonna be able to bounce stuff off of each other, and we're gonna get this honesty, this authentic honesty. Like I know if I ask Jason a question, I better be ready for the answer. It better be, it won't be like, you know what, Warren, man, best thing I've ever seen. If it's not, you're gonna be like, it could be better. Like, I think you should tweak that a little bit. Like, it's consistency of who you are. And I think we have people in our life who play a different role or position. But we know the people in our life who are just yes people. Let's just be honest. Um, some of us have these people around, just kind of like to protect kind of our pseudo ego. It's not,
Okay. Yeah,
there's just
yeah.
people in our life who will agree with everything we say, right? And then we also know if our friend group includes just people who we lead. There's no one in our friend group who challenges us. There's no one in our friend group who we look up to. There's no one who we can go to advice. Every if you're the smartest person in your group, it's
Mm.
time to get a new group.
Yeah,
If you're the most savviest person in your group, then you probably need to get a new group. You
yeah,
know, um, you need to have a diversity of people who would challenge you, call you out, and help you walk out this life with Christ in your friendship group. But in order to have that, you have to have a consistency. If you're a person who is honest, then be honest. Um, don't start being fake all of a sudden. If you're a person who's loyal, you be loyal. That be who you are in order to receive the kind of friendship that you need in your life. Um, and all the time desiring a friendship that always makes you feel good isn't a good thing. Me and Jason consistently, we do our best to work out. We hit the gym, and but we know we have a love hate relationship with the gym. Like we love the
Yeah.
idea of what the gym does. When we get in the gym, it's hard work, it's sweat, and your body starts giving you these hormones, these endorphins that make you feel better. But let me tell you, there's before you get there, and when it's like, oh, I got an early morning workout, the bed feels really good. The gym is not the friend you want to talk to at that moment, but the benefit you get from, being consistent with that is much greater than, like, denying it or walking away from it. And so I honestly believe consistency just it's the glue that keeps a friendship together, and inconsistency just destroys relationship because people won't know what to expect. Like, find out who you are and be that. And if you need to change or you don't like who you are, then the thing is you have to identify that. You have to know there's a problem to fix the problem. And the best way to find feedback on your life and how you're living and how you're doing is to have good godly friends in your life. People who will be like, "Hey man, I know you blow up like easily. Like I said
Mm,
something, you took it out of context and you were just like gone." Like, if you don't if you won't know that about yourself if you don't trust the people in your life to speak into your life. Um, so I believe that knowing knowing who you are and being authentically you helps you become a better you because the authentic you is the person that God the blessing is on. Not the fake you, not the you show everybody else. Nope. The person with the problems, the real person with the problems.
yeah.
That's kind of why church exists because we're real people with real problems
Yeah.
who really love God, right? And so we get real. We get real, and that's how God makes us really better. That's how God really transforms us. That's how God really does miracles in our life because we're not afraid to say, "Hey, this is who I am. This is who I really am." And this is one of the reasons why, man, I have such an appreciation for Jason in my life. I have friends. But let me tell you, I don't throw the word best friend around a lot, but Jason's that's my dog. Like that's my man right there. If he calls, we're wheels up. Let's go. Like if he needs something, let's go. We're gonna do it. And it's forged through fire and it's forged through issues and problems. It's funny because I feel like we've known each other for decades, and that's
Right.
just not the case. But I feel like we can it's a safe space where we can be like, hey man, hey bro, what like we can provide that feedback that we need in our life and know that it's a non-judgment zone. And I'm gonna tell you, in my life, I've rarely felt that. I mean, I think I felt that with my father. Like he can get on you. And I've had some people speak into my life, but um I'm just so glad that God allowed me to experience this because I believe that God sends people in your life just to enhance your life. When the scripture says he's come to give you life and life more abundantly, I believe in my life Jason's a part of that abundantly. Like I've had life before, it was good, had friends, but I got this like abundant friend. Like I got this, like iron sharpens iron. You don't know what that means until you really hit some iron. Like you may have just been using stone or tin, or
Mm,
something before, but when you hit iron, you really know, like, wow, this person really makes me better. This person makes me want to be better. This person pushes me. And you've heard the saying before, birds of a feather flock together. And so you've also heard the saying, if sh- I'll, sh- I'll show you your future if you show me your friends. These cliches, right? But they all have some truth in them. Like you're only going to get as far in your life as the people who you surround yourself around. And people are, well, no, no, I'm setting the tone. No, but as you set the tone, they will drag you back down to where you. That's why you
mm,
need some people who are headed in
yeah.
the right direction, and you'll also help some other people. But if everybody in your friend group drinks on Friday, guess what you do? You drink on
Oh,
Friday.
yeah, yeah.
If everybody in your group is okay with just the white lies, not the big ones, just the ones that don't hurt people. That yeah, you're okay with it too. You may not. understand the impact of the people who you connect your life to, but they make a tremendous impact. Like, so important to know who your friends are, um, and know why you befriend them. Like, um, me and Jason have talked before, like we've wanted people to be friendly with us or to connect ourselves to people for the wrong reasons, for connections or for advantage or just to be cool, right?
Yeah.
But do they really bring goodness to our life? You know? Um, I've just had that experience, Jason. Have you experienced, like, as you've grown in Christ and as a man, um, how to navigate the world of who to pick as a friend? Like who to let into your life and who to not, who to be like, nah, no, nice person, but I can't
Yeah.
connect my life to you, you
Yeah.
know?
For sure. Thank you. First and foremost, thank you. I feel the exact same about you. I think you know it. Um, this pod, it's as we get rolling, it's a little bit of a love fest between Warren and I because we mean it. Like it's the friendship that I have with you, Warren, is uh incredible, life changing. Like it feels like um destiny. I mean, that's strong. I know that's
Yeah.
big, but
L
I've had my wife Delia and you, and then the list is short from there.
Come on, man.
And I'm not about ranking people, but it's I mean, it just is what it is, like, when
Yeah,
you feel that, and so, if you're listening to this and you're like, "I'm turning this off. I gotta get out of here. I, like, let these guys, have some time together." I want you to know, seek the friendships like that. Because
yeah.
just like Warren asked me, the answer is yes. I have sought out those friendships where I just want it to be cool. And the truth
Yeah.
is, here's the hardest part is at the back end of the struggle, the challenge, the
Mhm.
um, ultimately poor decision making and trying to edit my life in ways I didn't want to be cool.
Yeah.
Uh, you end up without those friends anyway.
Yeah.
They're not around because the truth is, I ended up having to. So in high school, uh, beginning of college, things like that, I ended up having to kind of, I guess I would say dump or remove, relationships from my life, and it creates real hurt because the truth is so say you're doing it because you're making better decisions, those
Yeah.
people don't always understand either the journey that you're on or it's not really fair to them because you've, portrayed yourself in ways that were untrue. How should they know
Mhm.
that? Like,
Yeah.
it's really on me that I kind of fictionalized a version of myself, and now they're having to pay for that. And so that was like some real shame for me early on, where through high school, um, I really loved basketball. That wasn't pretend. So there was some friendships there that were really genuine. But like going to parties and
Mhm.
like if we're just being real, drinking, doing drugs, smoking weed.
Mhm.
I mean, I say drugs like I smoked weed and that was about it. Um,
Yeah.
so thankfully, God protected me from a lot of those poor decisions. But the truth is, I wasn't really excited. And almost every time, now that I reflect on it, almost every time upon approach, like you're going up to a door or you're pulling up to a house where you know there's a party going on, when you have the feeling of like I need to drink quickly to make sure that I don't experience this as
Mhm.
fully as I could, and then we can all cut loose by hurting our bodies by
Mhm.
dumping alcohol into it. Um, the funny thing is the reason you feel drunk when you drink is because your body is fighting against the alcohol. Like I always found that to be a strange mechanic. And so to me, I drank throughout high school, like later high school. Um, underage drinking, if I'm honest, occasionally driving, which is really foolish. Like it was a horrible decision making that was going on, all because I wanted on Monday morning at school or that Tuesday when I see that person in class, I want them to think I'm cool and I want to be validated. But what I'm going
Wow.
to do, I'm going to join them in how they
Mhm.
act instead
Wow.
of being a thermostat. I was a thermometer. Instead
Wow.
of setting the temperature of the room and saying like, well, I'm just not going to be a part of this. I'm going to go set a temperature over here that I'm more comfortable with. I just took in whatever temperature was coming at me.
Yeah.
And to extend the metaphor, those rooms were way too hot for me.
Ooh.
Like, there were times where I would sit down and think, "What am I doing?" And then somebody comes
Mhm.
up, puts their arm around you, says, "Come on, man, let's make another bad decision." They don't really say that, but you know
Wow.
what I mean. And I'm saying,
Yeah.
"Alright, man. As long as you think I'm cool, I'm here for it." And so,
Wow.
I know what it feels like to chase friendships that are unhealthy, and I am telling who's ever listening, I'm telling you, Warren, I don't think I have to tell you, but, just in case,
Yeah.
don't chase those. Like,
Come
there
on.
is no need. Like, you don't need friendships where you have to edit your behavior. And
Wow.
if you're doing something that's hurting you, and maybe you're the leader in those relationships, take a minute and think about that. Are you leading other people into doing something that maybe you don't even like doing? Or if you're enjoying doing it, ask yourself why. Why is
Ooh.
it as an adult you have to drink to have fun?
Mm.
Why do you have to beat up your kidneys and liver and lungs and all
Wow.
those things
Yeah.
by drinking, doing drugs, or just being around people messing with your mind? Right? Maybe you're
Mm.
not drinking. Maybe it's just unhealthy, toxic kind of mentalities where all we're doing is gossiping and complaining.
Yeah.
Well, why do you need to be a part of that? And if you're the leader in that group, is it really worth leading a group that is leading people down the wrong path?
Mm.
Um, I don't wanna be the star on a losing team, right? I wanna be a role player. If I can't be the star, I wanna be a role player on a team that's healthy and winning.
Yeah.
And so, I think for me, I just realized, like, I want Jesus to be the star of my life.
Mm.
And when I was chasing those, uh, being cool friendships, when I was chasing the
Mhm.
unhealthy ones, I wanted to be the star.
Wow.
And here's the dirty secret, in both cases, you're not the star. And even if you're the star, even you don't see yourself that way. Because if you're honest, you see that you're hurting other people. And if you don't realize you're hurting other people, it's probably even more detrimental. So there is no positive to chasing a friendship. Like when a friendship is going to happen and it
Mm.
feels awesome, like you said earlier, I would just kind of like pivot on what you said. Friendships feel easy. Well, the cool part is like what you said earlier, where when you and I challenge each other on something, like when we're going through
Mhm.
hard times and we push each other on a challenge or we're honest, sometimes that specific conversation isn't easy, but the
Mhm.
friendship's easy to have because you can trust each other and your reactions.
Yeah.
You can trust what people say, you can trust the reactions, and
Yep.
you can trust how the friendship will stay whole even after
Yep.
this conversation. So I loved your gym metaphor. Working out is hard.
Mhm.
Really, really good friendships are actually easy on the back end, sometimes hard in moments, like at the
Yeah.
gym. But guess what's
Yep.
easier is going to the beach once you've worked out.
Yep.
It's easier
Yep.
living longer, right?
Yep.
So don't settle for the easy friendships that are like Skittles and
Come
Starbursts,
on.
right? Sitting on the
Oh.
couch watching TV instead of going to the gym. Don't settle for the
Yeah.
friendships that are easy up front. Settle
Yeah.
for the friendships that are easy upon definition afterwards.
Absolutely.
It's in retrospect that we see the value.
That's so good. Man, that's so good.
Thanks, man.
Man, mic drop.
Boom. And with
Wow.
that, no, I'm just kidding.
Mic drop.
Yeah, yeah.
Man.
So,
Man, I know, like, in kind of the society and culture right now, right? There's always this divide, and I think there always will be. I think sometimes we look at problems and we think that we could like eradicate problems throughout the world. And that's God's job. Our job is to make an impact and make a difference.
yeah.
How big or how small. I think one of the biggest things, especially in America, is that we see things in black and white. Everything kind of rolls back to black and white. If you pay attention, black and white is a multi-billion-dollar business for the country, for every capitalist, right? It's just separation is business, right? Um, in friendship, I've learned, right? I've learned to not see people by the color of their skin or by how they talk or their background, but get to know them for who they are. One thing that really kind of drew me to you, like, was your just ability to light the room up. if you've ever been, like, in a place, and I spent 21 years in the Navy, so I got to meet a lot of people, be in a lot of different spaces. Um, and if you've ever been in a space where people just aren't, like, talking, like, just,
Yeah.
"We're here," and it's like, the people who come in and they just I don't know, they tell a joke or they just be like, "Man, it's dead in here." Those people are God sent.
Yeah.
They're the ones that they're the rock in the pond that sends the ripple because they break the glass of everything. They're able to go into a situation and use this analogy earlier, and be a thermostat. If it's cold, they cut it up, they make it warm. If it's hot, they can cool it off. And so they go into situations and they change the atmosphere. Truth be told, that's who God has called us to be. Unapologetically, that's who we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be thermostats for the world. Wherever we go, we're supposed to bring God into the situation. If it's a dark place, we bring light in. Right? If it's a place where there is no love, we bring love in. We bring the love of Christ wherever we go. And that's where we really make an impact and make a difference. And I feel like God connected me and Jason not only because he knew that we needed each other. You know, we needed this friendship, that it was for our good, but he created us to join and kind of push out this love of Christ and for us to look the way we look. It's
Y
not a mistake,
yeah.
you know, because it's one thing to talk about friendship, but it's another thing to live it out. And people will be like, "Well, you're from two different, you know, things and your experiences and his experiences." And they tell you, um, I think Jason probably has more black friends than I have,
Maybe.
hands down. That's crazy.
It's just so we talked about the geography a little bit, right? Like, 757, Newport News area, things like that, but
Throw
it
it up for the
come
757.
on,
Woo
man.
woo.
I got love for the 757 forever. Um, the truth is, I think it helped me see a bunch of different cultures, which
Mhm.
I didn't even realize the advantage that is,
Yeah.
or how God was gonna use that in my life. So, um, I guess I'd like to think I don't edit my behavior
Mhm.
for the people I'm with, but I feel
Yeah.
like it gave me the ability to have conversations with people
Mhm.
from a perspective that I can empathize a little bit better.
Yeah.
And maybe some of that is just my personality. Like, I'm a researcher. I love
Mhm.
research. I love learning things. Um, and I think learning people, researching how people interact, like, while you're watching people taking that in and saying, like,
Yeah.
this is a way that I can push the envelope a little bit. This is where I
Yeah.
need to be um more polite or caring, I guess. Like, to me, I've
Mhm.
never edited, and maybe this is what people like, I hope, but again, it won't change. So if people don't like it, I'm so sorry about it. But um I don't want to cater to your feelings in a way that's dishonest, but I do
Mm.
want to care about you.
Come
And
on.
so if you ask me to tell you the truth, I will. But if you don't ask, then I feel like my job is to just care about you.
Mhm.
And then when we build a relationship, maybe it's on like the third or fourth time hanging out that I say something about the challenge I see. Or,
Yep.
and just like I mentioned with that young lady at the cafe earlier, like, the first day isn't the day to have a conversation about feeling abandoned or feeling lost in the
Come
world.
on.
But building a relationship with people is super important.
Come
It's
on.
just, uh, and here's the key, and I know this seems like, such a benign thing to say, but this is the secret sauce. For anybody that's listening, actually care.
Come on. Talk about it.
I don't know if people do it. I'm not
Let's
sure.
go.
I think we get so lost in our day to day. I
Yeah.
think we get caught up in the moment and the hurry in the
Yep.
schedule. And for me, I have just made a decision in my life that no matter what the logistics of a situation are, if there's a person that's hurting, that's the
Yeah.
logistic. Like,
That's right.
that's the statistic I care about, not did I hit this thing on time? Are we going to be late for something if this is happening?
Come on.
I think people are what's important and things can be sacrificed. And I think the world has made us think um, maybe the judgment of other people
Yeah.
is going to create a situation where I have to care about the thing. And
Yeah.
I want to say, I'm not saying be late for work. I'm not saying, quit your job because a friend needs to have a conversation. Don't do something that's unreasonable. But what I'm saying is set up a situation where you say, as soon as I'm get back from work, I'm all yours tonight. Like we
Yeah.
can hang out, we can talk. What do you need? Call me. You don't have to be overbearing, but you definitely shouldn't be underbearing, which I don't know if underbearing is a word, but you got to care.
It's a concept, right?
Yeah, it's
That's a word.
underbearing. Like you can't be like, "Well, man, they're hurting. I hope things work out,"
I hope
because
things work out.
they don't work out unless somebody cares.
Wow.
One of my favorite
That was
movies. Oh, ready? Hold on. I got a good one for you. I got a good one. Boondock Saints. Not necessarily a Christian movie. Don't I'm not recommending it to anyone, but there's a line that's so good that goes something like, we have the heroes and they're in like this Catholic
Mhm.
church, and the priest is talking as the two brothers walk up with sunglasses on, and people are like, "Who are these guys?" And then they go kiss the feet of Jesus, and as they're leaving, the priest says, "For evil men to succeed, we don't need other people to be evil. We just need
Mm.
the apathy of good men. We just need good men not to care," basically. And the brothers
Come
turn
on.
around and are like, in their accent, they're like, "I do believe he's starting to get the point." Like it basically, if you say you're a Christian, you
Yeah.
need to be living like Christ. And instead of
Mhm.
focusing on the disciples or maybe
Mhm.
the relationships he had, Jesus was always seeking that new person, that man
Mhm.
by the well, or
Yeah.
the water, the woman by the well, the blind people, the lepers that nobody wanted to be around.
Yep.
Jesus was seeking those people. He was looking for those people in the crowd. He wanted to know who touched the hem of his garment. And even though he knew, he wanted the woman to recognize the confirmation of their relationship.
Come on.
So I think that's
Dude.
who we need to be, is like, who's trying to touch the hem of your garment when you're walking around, who's trying to get your attention. And if you feel annoyed, consider why you feel annoyed. Are you worried you'll be
Come
late?
on.
Why don't you have time for that?
Why
And
don't you have
and by
time
the
for
way,
that?
I'm talking to me as much as anybody else. I never want to push conviction on this show. Like, you should be ashamed because we're doing the right thing. No, we're
Come
we're
on.
people in progress, just like
Yep.
all of you guys are. Anybody listening?
So, so good. So good. I'm gonna get you one of those preacher one-liners, right? People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Man,
Yeah.
you demonstrated this like live, real life, like just a couple weeks ago for me. And I called you with an issue, and it was a big issue, and you you had you had a meeting that you had rescheduled several times, and the guy was in your office, and you were like, "Hey, hold on." I was like, "Well, you just call me back." You were like, "No, no, hold on." You come back and you're like, "Yeah, I rescheduled again. This is more important." And we continued to talk, but even more so than the talk, it was how you prioritized what was happening to me. You prioritized in real time, like, "Hey, I'm at work. It was like the middle of the day. It was a
Yeah.
very inconvenient time, but you were like, "The more important is Warren. Like, I got it. We can reschedule the meeting if it's possible for me to move it because he takes priority here." And I was just like, wow, that in the midst of what I was experiencing was like, okay, God, I get it. I I get it. Like, it kinda said to me, your action said to me, God's like, "I worked all things for your good."
Mm,
I know what this is happening is bad, but look, I have good surrounding you. And that's what our life speaks when we prioritize people before things and situations. Because in the end of the day, everything that we have and everything we have an opportunity to do is from God. And so we just have to remember people first. Like these are when we look someone in the eyes, that is the person that God created. That's his masterpiece. And so if we as people can be friendly, can be helpful, can do anything for the people of God, all people of God, I build like that's God's work. That's what we're here to do.
that's right.
That's the pointed place of where God has us in that moment that we have to quit overlooking or taking people for granted and really show ourselves friendly by showing the love of God. So thank you for that, but thank you for most of all, thank you for being obedient to God in that moment, like because that was real time. That was real time in real life, and I was like, man, that is. And I started thinking about myself. Have I ever done that before? And I think I have for people, but it just reminds me of how much more I need to be conscious of what I'm doing and how I approach people. Because I mean, I think we talked for another hour, but that's what really stuck in my heart. That's what really and so maybe it's the transaction that we have with people and how we approach them, how we walk with them through life. That's what being a true friend is really about. If you can only be a friend when it's convenient to you, are you really a good
Mm,
friend?
yeah.
If you only have friendships that are advantageous to your life, are you really a good friend? And so if everybody in your friend group looks like you, thinks like you, are you really a good friend? If everybody in your friend group makes you comfortable,
Yeah.
these are just questions. You'd be like, and so I think out of what I really want people to get from this point is we have a friend in Jesus that we didn't pick, he picked us. And he picked us when we were sinners, when we had no knowledge of him, when we didn't recognize him, and even to this day, sometimes we turn our back on him, but he's always available for us. And so as we approach how we treat other people, we should treat them with the love of Jesus. Now you won't be friends with everybody. You definitely, you won't everybody won't be your Jason, right? You're blessed if you find one, but everybody won't be that, right? But that doesn't prevent you from treating them with the love and respect and care that God treats us with. This is the one thing I love about walking with Jesus. It doesn't matter what I've done, who I did it to, how many times I did it, I can always find forgiveness in him. It doesn't mean there's not a consequence for my action. It doesn't mean that there won't be some correction on there, but I can always come to him and he never yells at me. He's always welcoming to me. He's always excited when I come to him with my problems, with my sin, with my mess ups. When I come to him, he receives me with open arms, right? And these are the friendships. I mean, if you don't have this, I'm telling you, show yourself friendly, and I guarantee you, the person that God has for you to be friends with will show up in your life. And if you're like, I don't really need friends like that, just keep living. Just keep living. You will. If you're out there and I'm a loner, I'm like, life is supposed to be lived in community. You need to be surrounded by people, because life is just better when we do it.
Yeah.
And so my talk is really to get you to see that the best friend we have is Jesus, but he also has people planted in our life to show us that real physical love. God knows that we're a touchy-feely type of people. And I love the Holy Spirit and I love God. But when he manifested right in front of me, I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
I can tell you about the sunset, but until you see one and experience one, it's a total different thing. And I want that for your life. I want you to be I want you to be someone's friend like that, where they're like, oh my goodness, like this person gets me, they see me, they know me, and they're consistent with me. And I just love it.
It's really good. Yeah, all I could think about was winning teams continue
Come on.
high-fiving, and so no matter who you have in your life or don't have in your life, and you feel like you're alone and you're struggling and you want these things, Jesus is the first one who always has his hand up for a high five,
Yeah.
right? He is wants to connect with you, he wants that relationship. Um, Warren, my man, I'm so thankful for you, like, for our
Yeah,
friendship,
man.
for the ways we can talk, um, for the ways that we can put shine on each other and also, hold each other down, like, keep each other humble, um, when we're tired, give each other energy, when we're energetic, help each other feel even better, like, it's incredible, um, and it is underrated in the world, and
Mhm.
I appreciate your vulnerability. Like, you're willing to be vulnerable to me, and it allows me to be a good friend to you, and I wanna stay vulnerable, and allow you to be a good friend to me. And I think that's just important and awesome. So if you need a Warren in your life, go find it. It's so important. It's so good.
So
Um,
good.
and it's just so edifying. So
Yeah.
I think that's friendships, man. I think
Yeah.
that's it. We
That's
did our
it, man.
best. If we missed something, let us know in any comments, or if you see us in person, uh, tell us what
Yeah.
you think about friendships, and what are, maybe shout out that person in your life who is that friendship. If you've got that one, you know, uh,
Absolutely.
whatever platform we're on, put their name in the comments and
Let's
give
go.
them some heart emojis. You know what I'm saying?
Shout
Like
them
I
out.
just give a little, I'm just giving Warren a little heart emoji.
What's
Yeah.
up?
So we appreciate you guys. Warren, I feel like that's episode 2, man. That's the wrap.
Yeah.
So
That's a wrap, man.
can you pray us out one more time?
Absolutely.
I love it, bro.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Heavenly Father, Lord, we just thank you, God, Lord, that we get to do this. God, we thank you for everyone who will experience this conversation, God. Lord, I pray that it points their heart back to you, Father. Lord, I pray for friendships right now, God. I pray for, Lord, I pray for good friends, God. I pray for godly friends. I pray for challenging friends, God. Lord, I pray, Lord, in this moment, Lord, that those who are friendless, God, that you be their friend, God. Lord, and that you send them the people they need in their life to surround them. Lord, I thank you for Jason, God. I thank you for church, Lord. And in this moment, God, I just thank you because I know you're doing something amazing. And we're just so excited to be a part of it. Lord, I pray, Lord, in this moment, that amazing transformation and things are happening in people's lives, that they are seeing you more through
Yeah.
the real conversations we're having
Yeah.
than ever before. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. All right, man. We'll see you guys next episode. Warren,
Absolutely.
thank you, buddy.
Bless you.